If you're the Cavs, what's the first move you're making heading into the offseason?
I'm trading Kevin Love, and I'm trying to acquire Carmelo Anthony. It's the first thing that I'm doing. The reason why is because even though I think Paul George would clearly be both myself and Max's first choice, I think it's going to be harder to get a Paul George than it would be to get our Carmelo Anthony. I think Carmelo Anthony has the hearts, the guts, not only that, the perimeter game where he's not going to disappear in a closeout game. That's just not going to happen with Carmelo Anthony on the floor, particularly with LeBron James and Kyrie helping him. I don't know if there's enough basketballs that some could make that argument, but I'm telling you right now, nobody is going to force Carmelo Anthony to back down. Nobody's going to scare him, and no moment is going to scare him. And I think that's a very, very big deal. And because of that, I'm not hesitant. I'm going for it. It's something that I thought, if you remember, nobody was out there out front more than me speaking about how the Cavs needed to unload Kevin Love in order to get Carmelo Anthony. It was specifically for moments like we saw in Game 5 where Kyrie shows up, J.R. Smith shows up, LeBron James shows up, but then is forced to roll his eyes in utter disgust at Kevin Love because Kevin Love just didn't seem to be the guy in Game 5 that he was in Game 4 or Game 2, things along those lines. Those are not issues you're going to have with Carmelo Anthony. It's the first thing I'm doing if I'm Cleveland.
I don't think they need another ISO scorer. I think what the Cavs really need is a modern big, a rim protector who can also guard out in space, who can switch onto smaller players if you need him to, who can hit the three if you want to play five out or post you up, like a version of that who was available last year, Al Horford, right? The ideal version of that will be what we hope Karl Anthony Towns can develop into. Golden State has something like that minus the rim protection in Draymond Green, and that's really what's made them different, until Kevin Durant came and put him over the top. But those guys are really hard to find, and unless Phil Jackson is dumb enough to give you like Porzingis, who's a version of that, for Kevin Love, and you never know with the Knicks, you probably are not going to find that. So then what else could they use that's more than just ISO scoring? If you look at the history of the league, even the recent history, two-way wing players is probably the fastest way to a championship. Jordan and Pippen, LeBron and Wade. Who's like that if not Paul George, Stephen A., who may be available? Jimmy Butler. So, is Jimmy Butler good enough to be the best player on a championship team? No. But the second or maybe third best player on a championship team? Yes. The question is, does he shoot it well enough from the outside? If he does that year, they could win the whole thing.
Question. Are you saying, for the record, that a team like the Cleveland Cavaliers should take Jimmy Butler ahead of a Carmelo Anthony?
Any team in the league should take Jimmy Butler ahead of Carmelo Anthony. Jimmy Butler's a better player than Carmelo Anthony.
Really? A better offensive player than Carmelo Anthony?
No, but a better player, and he doesn't need the ball doesn't need to stop.
He's clearly a better
Butler.
defender. He's clearly a better defender. Nobody's denying that. But the flip side to it is this. Jimmy Butler, we know, has the talent, and because he was the number one option for the Chicago Bulls, and he averaged better than 23 a game. He has my respect, no question. I love Jimmy Butler. But in terms of offensive firepower, he is no Carmelo Anthony. And the last time I looked, I don't give a damn who it is. Nobody's stopping the Golden State Warriors. You need to outscore them. You're not stopping them.
But
you understand? Go ahead.
I don't think Carmelo makes the the Cavs offense better. He's a better ISO scorer than Kevin Love.
He clearly makes them better.
But as a piece in an offense, Kevin Love gives them offensive rebounding, outlet passing, and outside shooting. And because Kyrie is such an ISO player, and because LeBron is such a high usage player, what they don't need is another high usage ISO player. They need a complementary piece.
Once again, let another level of disrespect towards Carmelo Anthony, because this is what people are assuming. They see Carmelo Anthony as the number one option in New York, ISO ball, and they look at him in his days with George Karl in Denver, and they think that's all there is. Carmelo Anthony knows how to be unselfish. Carmelo Anthony knows how to catch and shoot. He knows how to not hold the ball for 20 seconds in order to score, and playing with LeBron James. Think about it this way. Not only is your offense more prolific, but also because not just because of both of them on the floor together, that is, it's also because when he goes to the bench, you still have two scorers on the floor who can do their own thing in a Kyrie or Melo. So the consistency with which their offense would flow is certainly something that Carmelo Anthony could absolutely positively facilitate.
And you
not
have
only
evidence for that.
He's also not unselfish because when he performs when he's performed in Olympic competition,
right,
certainly not to compare the two. I'm talking about the unselfishness when you have teammates that you can trust will get it done. Carmelo Anthony has been underappreciated. I'm telling you.
When he was in the Olympics, he was the primary scoring option used by LeBron James on that team. It's not that he was the best player, but he was the scoring star when LeBron used him that way. He fit in very well, I agree. But now you have yet another defensive weakness on the team. Even if he turns into much less of an ISO player and can fit in the offense, he does rebound the ball and doesn't do not the outlet passer that Kevin Love is or the offensive rebounder or the outside shooter. But he's a better overall scoring. He's a better overall scoring presence. But even then, defensively, you still haven't addressed your weakness here. Jimmy Butler gives you a lot of scoring.
Jimmy Butler is clearly a better defender.
Defense.
Hold on. Jimmy Butler's a better defender. Paul George is a better defender. I get that. I am conceding. No one is stopping Golden State. So you have to, so they outscored, they averaged 121.6, and the Cleveland had some defenders on there. It doesn't matter. They're going to score against anybody. But hold on, Max, but let me tell you the difference. Let me put it to you plain and simple. With Carmelo, Kyrie, and LeBron James on the same team, there is no 28-4 second quarter run. I promise you that. There is no 28-4 second quarter run. I promise you that.
I think your logic breaks apart. I don't follow it because the Cavs had an all-time great offense. The difference in these the difference in these two clubs was not that Golden State's offense was so much better than the Cavs. The difference was they both had great offenses and only one had an excellent defense, and that was Golden State. So you want to just try to outscore Golden State? You're still going to lose. You must address your defense.